Hey, what's up, guys? It's Justin with Vanguard Vlogs. I'm really excited today. This week, which will be February the 24th, Monday, whole week, I'm redoing videos about BT12, Binding Force of the Black Rings. This was a pretty game-changing set for Cardfight Vanguard. It added Link Joker support after the trial deck. It added me panning up the camera to get a better shot. It added reverse cards, which is a huge deal, and it added all in all, it brought back Dark Irregulars and Pale Moons as being competitive again. Some of the new cards that they got are pretty sick, amazing. Now I have built panning over there, Red Bull, T. I have built all the decks. That's it. That's all the decks that are built in this set, and I'm gonna be going through them in this video and another video. These are going to be deck building tips part 1 and 2. Now, deck building tips part 1, which is this video, there's no annotation, the video you're watching. Whoa, that looks weird. It looks like a spot. I'm for the annotation there. Look here. Is going to focus on Link Joker. It's going to focus on Liberators, which I have over here. It's going to focus on Shadow Paladins. And I think those are the three main, quote-unquote, mainstream clans of the set. And the part 2 video is going to focus on the little bit of Eradicator and Narukami support, the new Amon's Followers stuff, and the Silverthorn stuff that was added. What you see in front of you is a deck that I whipped up about an hour ago. It's the Swordschild Dragon Link Joker, which is the chain ride that you see over here. It starts with Micro Hole Draco Kid, this card right here. It's the first chain ride we've seen in a while, and obviously it's got a nice little foiling there. Obviously it's the first Link Joker chain ride. At first I wasn't totally sold on this as a deck because the chain ride's cool, but then you kind of gotta like temper your Link Joker support, what other stuff you want in the deck. I think I came up with a pretty balanced little set here. I'm gonna take you through it one card at a time. And then I'm going to go over deck building tips for Link Joker and the other two decks that I have here. I'm just going to breeze through and show you the chain ride really quick. This is Micro Hole Draco Kid. The way he works is, when a card named Gravity Ball Dragon rides this unit, look up to 7 cards, and you can search for the... So when the grade 1 rides, you can search for the grade 2 or the grade 3 from the top 7 of your deck. They all have something kind of like that, and they all get plus 1,000 when you have the previous one in your soul. The important one is Swordschild Dragon up here, which is a limit break. Really cool art, really cool foiling. What he does is Counterblast 3, and he's a Persona Blast. You get Counterblast 3 and drop another Swordschild Dragon. You lock 3 of your opponent's cards. You get plus 10,000 and plus 3 crit. Luckily, the Persona Blast part isn't too bad. When you first call him, you can Counterblast 1. So there you go. There's your 4 damage right there. 3 for that, 1 for that. You can Counterblast 1 to look at the top 5 for another one of him. I think it's pretty good. And he's an 11k when you have the previous one of your soul. So that's it. The chain ride is, I mean, it's a chain ride. The 3 is what you want. The other 2 cards don't really do much. They're just an 8 and a 10. But they're passable and they have good searching. The odds that you're not going to be able to get to the grade 3, I'd say, are low. Other important things, trigger lineup, 4 heals, 4 draws, and 8 critical. I got Meteor Lager and Wise Soldat down here. The reason I went with that is because the rear guards are all, they're not really power based, so multiple hits aren't going to help. They're mostly either get more power for having lock, or if your opponent has a locked card, lock another card. Swordschild Dragon is mostly about keeping your opponent pinned down, just having 1 attack per turn. And if you can keep them that, after 3 turns, they're not going to have a chance. Over here, I got Opener of the Dark Gates. When you play her, and you have a Link Joker Vanguard, and your opponent has 2 or less rear guards, draw a card. Very simple. And you have to discard a card from your hand, so it's like a swapper. Aurora Eagle is the 10k booster, and there's no specific booster for Swordschild Dragon, so I use 4 of that. Up here, in the top right, I don't know how well you can see that because I'll move the card up so you can see it better. I'll also put a link in the description for the Link Joker page on the wiki so you guys can see what these cards are all about. This card is if your opponent's card gets locked, he gets 9k. Or sorry, he becomes 9k. He's at 7, he gets +2. This card is Singularity Sniper. When she hits a Vanguard, and your opponent already has a lock card, choose another card to lock. Lamal, which is it's the main like power card. You counterblast 1 and he gets +4. It's a pretty nice little card. And then this is Furious Claw Starvator Nobium. Opponent's rear guard is locked. He gets +2k, so he becomes 11. The thing I liked most about this deck, and I'll go over, there's one thing I missed. You probably noticed, but I'll go over in a second. The thing I mainly like about this deck is assembly is very simple. There's no restrictions on the cards being Starvator or not, so you have endless options. You can use any of the Link Joker cards you want. The ones I used were mostly to balance out having good attack in the front row and then good lock capability as well. And Swordschild Dragon's pretty powerful on his own. I only have 3 here right now. You might be able to tell. I have an SP from a friend of mine that I'm going to purchase. Thank you very much, random friend. I pulled the other 3 in boxes that I opened. By the way, I opened a bunch of boxes. I pulled really well. I pulled a lot of good stuff, but I'll do an opening on camera so you can see what the rest of the set looks like. But, as you probably noticed, this deck is missing something. Only 4 grade 3s right now. Well, for now, since he's just power, replacing next to him, I have Schrodinger's Lion, which is it's a 12k attacker, and Twilight Baron, which is also basically just a 12k attacker. What I've been thinking is, the other grade 3s are kind of useless, but I don't necessarily want to get grade locked if I can't get up to Swordschild Dragon the turn that I want to. So there's 2 options. I could either use more grade 1s and 2s, like 2 more grade 1s and an extra 2 grade 2s, which is a risky tactic because then I'm really like limited on grade 3s. Or I could do 2 break rides, or 2 or 3 break rides. And that's kind of expensive because right now, I mean, it's like 15 bucks each, which I'm not sure I need. I can just take them from the other deck if I want to try that. I think the break ride method, I mean, it's not... Swordschild Dragon would be good with the break ride, but it leaves you with the risk of unbalancing it well. You open and you have all these cards that lock cards, and then you break ride and you lock. You don't necessarily need that much lock because there's a possibility of overlocking. Like most of the time, you're only going to be locking 3 or 4, only be able to lock 3 or 4 cards at a time. So for the time being, I'm going to stick with the 8 that I showed you, the 4 Swordschild, the Twilight Barons, and the Schrodinger's Lions for power. But in a couple test games I'm going to play this week, I'll see. Maybe the break ride does work better. I just don't know yet. I think this is a very good deck. It's a very simple deck. I think if you have somebody who you want to get into Vanguard right now, and they're looking for a relatively mid-priced deck, like they're willing to just drop like, I don't know, less than 100 bucks? I don't know how much Swordschild Dragon goes for. It's probably in the 10 to 12 range. But it's not too bad. All the other cards are common, pretty much. There's no double rares in here. There's just Swordschild Dragon. The grade 2 is rare and the starter is rare, but I got a couple extra, so I wasn't too worried about getting them. And like I said, there's no restriction on using Starvaders, so you can use whatever Link Jokers you want. I would recommend buying a trial deck if you want some triggers, because I mean, I don't remember if there's I think this is the only heal trigger still, and I like running the 8 crit triggers. There was no particular choice in running 8 for, it's kind of just what was available. I didn't think I would need stands, because then I'm really like looking at overlocking, because most of the Link Joker cards aren't super powerhousey. They're more like support. Okay, let me clear up this stuff, and then I will show you some of the other decks that I have down here. So yeah, I guess this was a Swordschild Dragon deck profile. Ugh, I don't know where my words are going. I'm sorry about that. I had a long day yesterday. drove to buy all these cards. It took a while. I don't live near a card shop, unfortunately, but I went to my favorite card shop in the whole wide world. Hashtag Parallel World Gaming. Yellow swag. Do you guys like me yet? Do you guys think I'm cool? Yeah, send this to all your hip friends and just be like, hey, he said YOLO and swag, he's cool. And I'll be like, yeah, I'm so cool. Gonna go be cool over in the corner. By the way, this is the Fang of Liberator Garmor mat. It is sick, awesome. I love the stone like cracking over here. I love the art, I love the colors. It's awesome. These are the other 3 decks. Let me pull them out one at a time. So this is Liberators. This is the deck that changed the least. If you go and look at my Liberator Alfred deck profile, you should watch that first, and then this will just explain the things that I changed. Let me pull out the 3 or 4 new cards. Oh, well, yeah. Maybe there were like 5. Oh, jeez. Guys, I'm hashtag really bad at filming videos, constantly knocking over the dang camera. I'm really sorry about that. Oh no, my professionality is showing because it's so low. Waka waka. Okay, let's keep going here. This deck is also double sleeved, so it's very slippery. I'll talk as I'm doing this. So the main cards that I've added from lowest value to highest value are a new stand trigger. I switched up to having 6 stand triggers. Because I think the point of this deck will get you a big hand without having draw triggers, so I didn't need them anymore. So I've got this card. This is Daybreak Liberator Muran Rouge. Then over here I have May Rain Liberator Bruno. Bruno is one of the call from the deck to rearguard, and then he gets plus 3k, which is pretty good. I switched out my starter because Wingull Liberator, obviously everybody was waiting for it as a Liberator starter, but he just is not. I just don't think he's that good. Considering that the grade 3s both have big counter blasts, I never found the need to use Blaster Blade Liberator's effect more than once, if that. His ability is nice. You put him or her into the soul, and then when you start calling cards from the deck that turn, they all get 3k, which is nice. Barkle Liberator. When an attack hits a Vanguard during the battle of this unit, boosted Blaster Blade Liberator. Look at the top 3 cards from your deck. Search for up to 1 Liberator from among them. Call it tapped, and put the rest of the cards at the bottom of your deck. So he's just a nice extra mini call. I'm running 3 of him now. Oh, I'm running 3 of this, 3 of this, 3 of that, and I think 2 or 3 of this. When she is placed on the rearguard from the deck, you choose 2 of your other gold paladins, and they each get 2k, which is nice. And the new grade 3, which you've probably all seen, Wolfang Liberator Garmor. Let me explain how good and awesome this card is, because it's both good and awesome at the same time. This card changes the whole dynamic of the deck, because you never need to call rearguards. When you use his ability, you call rearguards until your field is full. It's insane. It's just like I don't even know what to say. Plus, if you're feeling risky, his secondary ability is you can just put a rearguard at the bottom of the deck, get 4k. Damn, he's so good. He is so good. Like. I didn't make that many edits to this deck, as you can see. I mean, it's mostly the same. I still have Escrad. I still have Alfreds and Break Rides. My plan is to run either 3-3-3, like 3 Break Rides, 3 Alfreds, and 3 Wolfang Liberator Garmors, or I might just take out the Break Rides altogether and run 4 Alfreds, 4 Garmors. And the reason for that is, if you play Garmor first, use his ability, get a whole field out, next turn, call Alfred, then he's already at max power. It's a really simple way to get a full field without having to reduce your hand size. That's pretty much the point of the deck now, is to go from having a deck that was kind of dependent on a big hand size that there was no way to get, and calling a lot with like Eskrad and Alfred. Now with a card that just calls a full field for almost next to nothing. Next, we're gonna do Shadow Paladins. I don't even think that I don't think I've done a full deck profile of this deck, so I might as well just say that I'm running a Revenge of Shadow Paladin deck on top of everything. And the main cards from BT12 that you're going to want to look out for from this deck are Frontline Revenger Claudus, Barrier Troop Revenger Durant, Dark Revenger MacLear. Is that all of them? That could be all of them for me. There's a couple other cards that came out that I'm not running, I don't think. Flipping through here really quick. No, that's about it that I'm using that are from BT12. Oh, and one Sanbao. That's right. Oh, I gotta take this out. Okay, I'll talk about that in a second. So, in order, I could do a full deck profile of this later, but these are the cards from BT12, and these are what I'm talking about this week, because it's week of BT12. Hashtag week of BT12. Twitter, Facebook. Anyways, Frontline Revenger Claudus. These two cards, Barrier Trooper Revenger Durant, Frontline Claudus, have a combo ability. You start with him, you move him to the rear guard. When you play him, definitely play him to the rear guard. His ability, Counterblast 1, into the soul, call a Blaster Dark Revenger. His ability is when you call a Blaster Dark Revenger in the same column as this, as in the grade 1, you get to take a damage and flip it face up. Essentially, you're calling a free Blaster Dark Revenger from your deck. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. Because then you can get his ability off way more seamlessly, especially if you don't draw him. If you draw him, these are kind of moot. You don't really need them, but it just, you're always going to want to play Blaster Dark Revenger because he's so good. That's what you're going to want in your life. Also, I'm unfortunately did not get any Revenger Raging Form Dragons. When I do, I will be adding them to this deck. It'll be 4 Break Ride, 4 Raging Form Revenger Dragons, and then maybe one other grade 3 I want to keep in there. Only other thing you need to look out for, Dark Revenger MacLear, the Revenger version of the Shadow Paladin Perfect card, which I just like the art on. You don't need it. You can use old ones. They're not that expensive. And Sanbao, use one Sanbao. He's just an extra little boost. And I just kind of I love the Bao cards. I'm totally weak for the Bao, the dog cards in this game. I will put them in decks where they don't need to be. That's why I like Barco Liberator. He's a mixture of a Bao card and a totally badass good card. But there is one card in this deck I totally forgot to take out, and is completely useless to me. And that is Revenger Darkbond Trumpeter. Let me explain. Let me zoom in on this little motherfucker. Hey, look, it's a Revenger Trumpeter. If you remember the other Trumpeters, their purpose was to get cards into the soul, mostly for things like MLB and Phantom Blaster chain rides, so that in case you missed a card, you could put another one in there, and it was awesome. This card is terrible. It seems to me like it was printed so that people who spent $40 on their Dart Goats, which was the promo Shadow Paladin starter, could still keep it in their deck. Her ability is that when it's placed on the Vanguard or Rear Guard, Counterblast 1, and search your deck for a grade 0 card with Revenger in its name, and call it to Rear Guard as tapped. So that you could get the Claudus and Dark Goat ability. You start with the Dark Goat, and you use this later to get out Claudus. I think that's useless. I get that people like Dark Goat, and it's super great, but it doesn't... You really don't need it. I really don't need this card. You really don't need this card either if you're running Revengers. It's just a waste of space. Granted, there's not a lot of other, great grade 1s, but you can... replace it with a Sanbao or something, just anything. Replace it with more Durants, they're grade 1. Use more of that. Let me flip through here really quick. Replace it with freaking... Oh, do I only have to... No, replace it with a Sanbao. Replace it with a Banabao. That's another good booster. This card right here, Banabao Revenger from the trial deck. I don't see the point in it. I've never seen the point and cards that are like, it's just so you can do an extra grade 1 ability. Include an extra Charon for Christ's sakes. Charon's always good. 8k attacker. They didn't reprint her in Revenger, but whatever. Actually, this would probably be the best choice. Put her in another Translucent, because that's a good attacker. But yeah, that's going to be the card, the Shadow Paladin card that came out in BT12 that you were going to want to stay away from. Pretty much what I showed you with the other cards that came in BT12 were all good. Oh, I missed one, but nothing important, but I will show it to you. There was a new critical trigger. Like, this is the one that comes in the trial deck. It's called Grim. Oh god, I forgot I zoomed in. Grim Revenger. And this is the new one. So I'm now running 8 critical. Cuckoo Revenger Air Raid Dragon. He's pretty cool. He's doing like a drop kick. I like it. Baby, I like you the way you move on the floor. I'm gonna copyrighted for that crap. Okay, move that off to the side. I'll deal with that later. The last deck I want to talk about is, I don't know if this will be the most prominently used deck, but this is going to be the most prominently used deck, and that is the more core Star Vader build of Link Joker. Let me zoom back out really quack. Quack, quack, really quack, quack, quack. See, I have my Nebula Lord sleeves. This is a Nebula Lord build at heart. Most of the cards in here, like the main card, Nebula Lord Dragon. I'll explain what he does in a second, but let me get out the cards again that are from BT12 that you need to be familiar with. Actually, this might take a while, so I'm going to cut really quick. Okay, here we go. Count them out. Now, I already talked about these ones earlier in the video. Opener Dark Gates, Lamal, Demon Carvator, Singularity Sniper. I'm not using... I think I'm just using like 1 or 2 of each of these just because they're not Star Vaders. And Star Vaders, having Star Vader in the name is important in this deck. And or is it? It's important in some places. Doesn't matter. Other cards I didn't talk about. This is Paradox Nail Fenrir. This is a, if you boost a Limit Break 4, he's a 9k booster. I was just looking for another grade 1. I could put another grade 1 8k, but I kind of like having one of those, having some variety. Those to go together. This is Catastrophe Bringer. I like to include one of these in any deck where I use the Break Ride. This is just a rear guard that when you Break Ride, or like when another grade 3 is ridden, he gets plus 10k. It's kind of like a nobody's expecting that to come out, and people like to focus their attack on him. This is Barrier Star Vader Prometheum. This is the first Link Joker Perfect card. And these. This is the 10k booster, sorry, 11k booster for Nebula Lord Dragon, Soul Blast 1. 11k booster. He's nice. And this is the Nebula Lord Dragon, the crux of this deck. This deck is basically just 4 Break Ride, 4 Nebula Dragon. His abilities are very powerful. They don't sound like super overpowered comparatively to what I've shown off earlier, but they are quite good. His abilities are, during your turn, all your front row Link Jokers get plus 3,000 for each of your opponent's locked cards. That includes him. So basically you get all 3 cards in the front row, get plus 3k. And his act ability is Counterblast 2, choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the back row and lock it. And that's an act, so you can do that multiple times if you have the ability to do it. This deck, I guess it actually doesn't require Star Vader as much for that. Well, never mind then. I guess I'm fine. I guess I'm good. Oh, and I use, this is the starter. This is the BT12 version because it's got a little bit of a hollowing on it, but I was using the promo version before. His ability is just Counterblast 1, put him into your soul. If your opponent already has a locked card, put him in, lock another card. It's pretty nice. Along with the Break Ride, it's a lot to handle for most people. Honestly, it's just kind of like, since Link Jokers are new and they're doing this all of a sudden, some people aren't prepared for it, don't know what to do, don't know how to react. But yeah, those are the, I say those are the main decks of BT12. I like the other decks, honestly, I like the other decks more, the lesser known decks. Just because you're going to see, if you go to a tournament right now, you're going to see a lot of Link Jokers, particularly Nebula Lord, because people think he's super powerful. You're going to see a lot of Revenger, and you're going to see some people, most people, are probably still going to be rocking the Liberator with Garmors added in, because those are the top tier decks. Swartzchild Dragon, I don't know if anybody's actually going to play that. I'm certainly going to play it because I think it looks great. But I don't know that it's, strictly speaking, like from you to me, from me to you, I don't know that it's competitive with the other decks that I showed. It doesn't have, like, it doesn't have the act ability. That's what puts it behind that's what puts it behind Nebula Lord. Like, it's gonna be rare for you to see somebody pull off his Swartzchild Dragons, because Swartzchild Dragon, let me pull it over here. Swartzchild Dragon's ability is an act ability, but it's gonna be a lot rarer for you to see somebody pull it off twice in a match because it requires 3. That doesn't make it bad. I think it makes it just more specific, because we haven't seen a good chain ride like that in a while. It reminds me a lot of, art-wise, it reminds me a lot of, like, the Maelstrom. Like, obviously not a chain ride, but just the Maelstrom Dragon. But as a chain ride, it reminds me more of Phantom Blaster Overlord, just because it's a simple chain ride. It's just about riding. There's no gimmicks to it. You're just riding around, you ride until you get to the top, and it's lovely. I really quite enjoy it. Is that all I had to talk about this video? I thought I had more to talk about. Do I have time to talk about it? No time to talk about? Oh, so that's BT12 deck building, part 1. I'm gonna get part 2 going. That'll be up on Wednesday. I'm gonna do like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday release for these videos, and then there'll be a part 4 for the next part of the Let's Play will be up this week sometime as well. Probably also on Wednesday. That's just when I have the time to do it. But yeah, this week's gonna be pretty crazy for me because I got some work and stuff to do, and just things going on in my life. They don't concern you, but they concern me in my life. How dare you look at my switch? How dare you look? You can't look at anything. This is my hand. You can't look at anything else anymore. You don't even deserve it. No, you're good. You're good people. You deserve it. You're my fans. Oh, also, I noticed I'm approaching, if I haven't already reached it, 500 subscribers, and that's awesome. When I hit 500, I'll do like a fan appreciation video, maybe like a giveaway of something. I have tons of cards. Like look at all this stuff. That's all card stuff right there, and that's just the tip. That is just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. So you guys, have a great week. Week of BT12, it's going to be a good week. Weather's improving in the Midwest, where I live. Weather's getting worse other places, where you live. Anyways, this is me shaking your hand to a good week of BT12. Ka-chow, ka-chow.